Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Before I begin this video and you'd like to use OCD Recovery's coaching services, please reach out to Phil at ocdrecovery.com and he'll get back to you as quick as he can. So yeah guys, today I wanted to speak about tolerating anxiety, right? And it's a massive part of the journey, right? Especially fear of fear, when you've had fear of fear for a long period of time. Really sitting with that fear of fear and getting good at sitting with that fear of fear is going to dictate a lot of the success in your recovery journey. Yes, it's a part of the journey, quite a big part. Of course, there's other elements to that, such as looking at your beliefs about the discomfort, exposures, avoidances, reassurance, etc. But, tolerating discomfort is going to be massive in our journey, right? And of course, I say tolerate discomfort. I don't say get rid of discomfort, because the goal is to tolerate it, right? The goal is always to coexist with the anxiety. A way that I've that really helped me looking at it was seeing it as final, seeing it as something that you need to try and adapt to, right? And I don't see it as final to bring doom and gloom to you and say, you're going to be stuck with anxiety forever. No, not at all. It's just the mindset that you need to have towards anxiety, because anything other than that, anything other than coexistence and tolerance is just resistance. If you've got the intention of being rid of anxiety, that's just pouring petrol onto the fire in terms of fear. It's just resistance, and that's just going to keep that fire going, right? So it has to be tolerating, right? So with tolerating anxiety, right, it is a skill. It's a skill to tolerate anxiety, and it's a skill that you need to improve at over time. And naturally, as you put the work in, as you do your beliefs, change your behaviours, you will get better at tolerating anxiety, right? And when fear of fear is ripping away. So imagine you're in a day. I remember in my worst days, I would be getting triggered, thousands of times, right? I'd have that little fear of fear, which is sort of the byproduct of my HOCD. My nervous system was sensitized. Anywhere I looked, it was just that sudden jolt of anxiety. It'd even be like lights, words, images, anything at all, just because my nervous system was so sensitized, right? And bit by bit, I had to tolerate the discomfort. When you're at the start of your journey, right, you're very allergic to the discomfort. It's very I'd say it's more alien to you. You're not used to it. You're not really sure how to handle it. Your natural response to the anxiety is to force it away. It's to try and think, well, how do I get rid of this, right? But what you need to do is take it trigger by trigger. You need to get good at reacting in a healthy way to the anxiety, right? When that trigger comes in, bang, you do the best you can not to add another layer onto the anxiety, right? Because it's already there. It's futile adding another layer to that anxiety when it's already there, because you're just going to jack it up. So of course that's easier said than done, but bit by bit you need to just react positively to each trigger. So the trigger comes in, you can feel it in your chest, feel it in your stomach, where it is, your brain. You allow that trigger to be there. You carry on with your day as best as you can. And then, you just carry on, take it trigger by trigger, and just keep going. Because you don't actually notice when the anxiety trigger goes. The anxiety trigger comes in, then you focus on it, and then you're actually not aware of when that trigger leaves you. You don't decide when that trigger leaves you. You're not really aware of it when that trigger leaves you, right? So in the moment, yes, the anxiety does feel very scary. Yes, you do want to be rid of it. Yes, you are thinking, well, how am I going to get out of this? How am I ever going to tolerate this? How am I ever going to move on with my life, because it's so uncomfortable, right? But you absolutely can. Like if you couldn't do it, or if I couldn't do it, I wouldn't be here now, neither would the other coaches, right? So the goal is to tolerate the anxiety, right? And some days the anxiety is going to be heightened, right? And other days it might not be as high, right? Some days you might not have many physical symptoms, but then the next day you're going to have a lot. And it's the unpredictability of that, and you need to lean into the uncertainty of that, because it's going to be very up and down, very unpredictable. You really do need to expect the unexpected with the OCD. You could be flying high in April and literally shot down in May. You you could be having a false dawn at some point. You think, yeah, I've got this by the scruff of the neck now, this is fine. And then the next day, blitzing away, chronic anxiety symptoms that's giving you no relief, right? So you need to, so as I said there, you need to try your best to tolerate it, right? And I think the best way in which to do that is just to, as much as you can, have a healthy life structure, right? Getting up early in the morning, making breakfast, brushing your teeth, making your bed, going to work, exercising, socialising, getting around your friends, getting around your family, still living your life, doing the things that you want to do, reading your books at night, doing the recovery work, still eating the right foods, staying hydrated, exercising, doing your hobbies as much as you can. Just really, really, truly just taking this thing and saying, you're coming with me for the time being. You're here. I know you're here. I'm going to coexist with you the best I can. I'm not going to try and be rid of you because, that's just going to add an extra layer. And yeah, so when I say tolerating, it's going to take practice over time. You will get better at tolerating the anxiety trigger by trigger. You're going to feel distracted by it sometimes in the moment. But like I said there, all you can do is really just carry on with your day as best as you can. And then, at the evening or whenever you get time to work on your recovery, working on those irrational beliefs about the anxiety, reading books on your shoulds, musts and oughts, looking at why you shouldn't feel this way, why you shouldn't feel triggered. I think for me, that was the biggest thing, for tolerating discomfort, tolerating anxiety, really looking at why I shouldn't be anxious. Yes, we can decatastrophize the anxiety by saying it's uncomfortable rather than awful, but I think for me, I had my most progress with tolerating anxiety when I really looked at the evidence for saying, well, why shouldn't I feel anxious? Because as over time, I realised that these demands that I'm putting on myself to not feel anxious, firstly, wasn't realistic. Realistically, in the present moment when I was suffering, I had anxiety, and I was imprinting this different version of reality on my current situation, and that was just creating a massive conflict. Yes, it is okay to think about the future and to think about where you're going, but I think when you're imagining this life without anxiety, when you're really chronically in the cycle, that's really not going to help you tolerate your anxiety, because it overlooks the reality of your situation. It just makes you further resist that anxiety when it does inevitably come, when your nervous system is very fired up. So yeah, I think that's a key point, everyone. Really look at how you can tolerate your anxiety bit by bit, trigger by trigger. The better you react to the anxiety on a moment by moment basis, it's that 0.1% difference it's going to keep making, and that's going to add up. The more you can just sit with anxiety, let it come in, acknowledge, let it pass as you can, carry on with your day. That's really, really going to help you, right? And yeah, just really just trying to bring down the resistance towards your anxiety, which, in the initial stages isn't always easy. But over time, you will get there as you work on your beliefs, your life structure, as I said. Have some compassion for yourself. This stuff isn't easy. When you've got that piercing anxiety there, it really is one of the most toughest things, to experience. We've all been there, so we know what you're going through. We have the deepest level of compassion for you, and we're all rooting for you at the end of the day, and you can do it. So yeah, take it trigger by trigger. Try and tolerate it as best you can. I know in the moment you want to jump and call anxiety scary and awful, etc., but holding those beliefs, those catastrophized beliefs, don't necessarily help you. Just need to turn the dial down, look at why you shouldn't feel anxious, and really think, well, what, how can I live my life with this? How can I keep going? And bit by bit, trigger by trigger, you will get better at handling each one as it comes and reacting in a healthy way, which will really help towards your recovery. So yeah, that's all for this one, guys. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.